Young people's feelings about influencers are very clear. They want realness and authenticity and not any more of the idealized glamour that has been so prevalent for so long.
I've been doing a lot of unfollowing of influencers recently.
I unfollowed all of the fitness influencers I followed when I was in college.
A significant 44% of 13 to 39-year-olds are now saying that influencers do not have the same power that they used to have.
The death of the influencer. Influencers are a dying breed.
Influencers are dying where they don't feel authentic to their audience anymore. This is the problem with macro influencers specifically. The data is showing that people are getting increasingly weary of influencers as they are slamming consumerism down everybody's throats. Hello, my name is Becca. If you're new here, hi. If you are not new here, hello again. I'm glad you're here. Today I'm going to be talking about the fall of the influencer. Influencing is just something I've always been interested in. It's a fascinating topic to me. Like, it should not make sense and it should not work, and yet somehow it does. And it's also really fascinating to watch the ebbs and the flows because there's like the macro phases of everything. The amount of things that change so quickly and so drastically, it just blows my mind. I'm going to give a very small synopsis of my story because I feel like you need some context here, just a little bit. I have always wanted to do the whole influencing thing, but I've never felt that I was special enough or that I was pretty enough or just all the different things. I thought I was not there. But when my husband won a job in New Zealand and I was like, you know what, this is cool. This is something worth talking about. And I also just love documenting things. I am the kind of person that sees a pretty flower and I want a picture of it. If there's a butterfly floating by, I want to take a video of it. If my kids do something cute, I'm going to be taking a film because I want to look back on these things down the road. So when I first started my journey of being an influencer, and again, I have such a hard time saying that because I don't think of myself as an influencer. I don't want to influence anybody to do anything except positive things. I am not here to influence anybody to buy a bunch of garbage. I don't know. I just have such issues with it so that I'm one of these annoying people that likes to call myself a content creator because that's what I enjoy. I love taking videos. I love taking pretty pictures. I love editing everything and creating the content and like putting the thought and the brainstorming into creating a video like this. Back in 2020 when I started, I was doing all this research on how to start and how to make it work. And one of the things that I came across over and over and over again was that it is not an oversaturated market and that anybody can do it. And to a certain extent, I do agree with that. Everybody has something to bring to the table. Do I think that everybody should be an influencer? Absolutely not. Because now we are coming across a bit of a crisis in the influencer world. Now it is an oversaturated market. When every second person is trying to build up their platform, and especially in the beginning when brands start offering you things and it's so tempting and you say yes to all these different brands and you are just pitching all these different sponsored posts, it's a lot. And when every second person is trying to do that, it's pretty nasty.
Why I started unfollowing influencers is because every time I would go to their page or I would come upon their TikTok or, their Instagram post, they were always selling something, always.
And because of this, consumers are feeling ad fatigue, which is just such a perfect phrase. The average person is so tired. This economy right now is brutal, and a lot of people are struggling just to put food on their table every single week and keep a roof over their heads. So to get online, to get onto social media, which is where they are trying to escape their life a little bit, to try to calm down and just relax, to be bombarded over and over by a paid partnership, by a sponsored post, somebody selling a guide, the next person's trying to send you to an affiliate link. Nobody's making content for fun anymore. It is just trying to sell stuff, and it's overwhelming. At that point, people are just exiting out of the app. They're deleting the app sometimes because they feel like it is so extreme, because it kind of is. The other problem is that people can sniff the inauthenticity from 10 miles away, and everybody's getting better and better at it by the day. More and more people are starting to unfollow people that they have followed for years. Because back in the day, when people are growing, when everything's happening and it's exciting, it's a journey, people follow them and they love them. They love following their story. And it's just human nature to be super nosy. And when people are sharing all of this and it's all new, everybody eats it up and they want that person to be successful. But then several years go by and they've made all of their money. They don't need to be putting out all this crazy content anymore. And a lot of times, honestly, the creators are burnt out. This is not something that is super sustainable for a lot of people over a long period of time. And so when they start just putting out the same boring content, they're not putting any effort in, they don't feel the fire themselves, people are catching on that so fast and they're waking up to it. And also what I find hilarious is that influencers are oftentimes very cringy and people are starting to call them out for it. And this is kind of a double-edged thing because first, it's really cool that they have the confidence and they don't care what people are thinking about them. I think that's a superpower. I care way too much what people think about me. On the other hand, there is something to be said about just like human decency. There's something so Truman Show about it. There's this huge disconnect between these influencers that think that they are blessed by God's finger and that they are just a blessing upon the whole world and they can just walk around and act like none of the rules apply to them. And there's just so many funny like TikToks and reels now that are calling people out for some of the specific things that they do. Like, for example, influencers have to set up their camera and then go and do that thing to the camera. And for a long time, people didn't like fully understand that. They didn't know what that looked like. It's like the ones where they're waking up at 3 a.m. with their newborn and turning on all of the lights so that the lighting is good so that they can feed their baby. Them complaining about the baby being awake and everybody's like, well, maybe your baby's awake because you have all the lights on and you're filming it. And it's also the thing of like the good morning scenes where you're waking up and saying good morning to your vlog. It's like you have to get out of bed, a lot of times make yourself look better, set up your camera, go crawl back into bed, and then pretend to wake up for the video. Yeah, for a long time, people didn't realize that that is what was happening until people started calling it out, and now it's like all people can see. They can see through the fakeness, they can see through the pretend, they can see through the movie magic. It's really kind of gross when you see videos through that lens. And then another part of the cringe factor is just the complete lack of awareness or care about the people around them when they're filming. So it's like I've seen the influencers in the wild reels, and it's just people bashing on when they find influencers and other people are filming what they're filming. So people are so quick to unfollow influencers these days, and I think that's kind of a great thing. It can be for any of the 4 reasons that I just talked about, but it can also be for the smallest things. Like if you have somebody post about something political and it's the opposite view that you have, unfollow. If somebody starts talking about religion or vice versa and you are the opposite side of that, unfollow. If people just mention anything like about how they're judgmental or not judgmental about something and that doesn't align with you, unfollow. Sometimes I think it's a little extreme. It's like the cancel culture around influencers, which can sometimes be kind of annoying. And the other problem with that is it can sometimes create echo chambers, which is not a good thing. Overall, I think it's great because it's people realizing that the power that they have is in who they follow and who they're giving their time to. But a lot of people are just finding this whole influencer thing really annoying. And when you open up your app and you have this face yelling at you, hey besties, run, don't walk to go and buy this product, everybody can see through it now. Nobody wants it anymore. Every single post is a sponsored content. And again, like people are struggling, and it's this huge disconnect when these huge influencers that are getting free products and then selling them for massive amounts of money, whereas the normal person is working 2, sometimes 3 jobs just to keep everything afloat. They see all of these things shoved in front of them all day long, but they can't afford them. They shouldn't and can't be buying these things. 2018 was a very different time, but now in 2024, when so many people are struggling and the world is what it is right now, it's just not the vibe. It's not the right thing. So I have a hard time with this because again, I don't like influencing people. I don't like having that power. But then on the other hand, I'm going to say that it is really hard sometimes to say no. I do have brands that offer me money in exchange for one post. Do you know how easy that is to say yes? I can make one crappy little post and have real money that I really need. However, I have come up with a golden question for myself, and that is, would I sell this to my mother? Would I recommend this to my mom? My family has always kind of struggled with money. If I had my mom buy something and it didn't actually improve the very quality of her life or make her very happy, I would feel so awful. Another reason that I have a really hard time being an influencer is because my whole mindset is being very frugal. My whole platform is about being frugal and minimal, and I care very deeply about the planet, and I want there to be a livable earth for my children and grandchildren. I'm not a very consumeristic person at all, and so I don't have a lot of stuff to be pushing. The handful of things that I do promote, it's like things that I 100% totally think that a lot of people should buy because it has made me so much happier, or it has greatly improved the quality of my life. And again, I'm a bad influencer just because I'm simply bad at it. I don't know how to work with brands. I'm not comfortable selling things in front of a camera. And so oftentimes it's not good. I don't think I'm very approachable by brands because I'm just not good at it. I don't know. Also, quick note here, I am very excited to work with brands more in the future. I am not saying that I'm completely never going to push anything. I, again, am going to promote things that I think are wonderful. I am never going to post anything about things that are just for me to make money. And I dream about finding the brands that completely align with everything that I believe in and that are just a great fit for a lot of people. What you won't find me doing is working with brands that have none of the same interests as me, none of the same ideologies, and is just a quick turnaround to make money. So it's also kind of fascinating because I feel like there are now kind of like two tiers of influencers. There's like the old money influencers, the ones that have been doing this for a long time, the ones that lucked out and started posting stuff a long time ago, the ones that have super high counts of followers across many different social media platforms. They are just in a completely different bracket than everybody else. They are going through a crisis right now because of the whole inauthenticity problem and the disconnect problem with their audience. But then you have these new influencers that are trying to make their way up, and it's just really interesting to watch because I'm one of them, but I also have many people that I follow, and you can watch them all of a sudden take off. And a lot of times they'll plateau. And this is for me personally too. When I had a little bit of a skyrocket, it was when I was super authentic. Of course, like everybody says this over and over and over again, it's really hard to actually apply it to your content. But for me, it's when I started opening up about stuff that I personally thought that I was alone in. And then of course I'm not the only one that's going through these life problems alone. A lot of people are feeling it, but because I felt alone, that means that a lot of other people felt alone in it too. So when I started posting about it, then people just flocked and started following immediately because they're like, oh my gosh, you're the first person that I've seen talk about this. So again, it's just interesting because you watch all of these people that are trying to become influencers and it's not working until they become authentic. And a lot of times it takes people a very long time to get to that point. I'm one of them. Hi, it's me. Also, in saying that, I still 100% see people that are doing the classic influencer thing and it works so well for them. They have the pretty face, they have the perfect makeup, they have all the right clothes, they work with all the right brands, they have all the right affiliate links, and they make so much money and they are so successful. And I'm so happy for them. They're doing what works. The other thing to be said about this is that people a lot of times have monkey brains. And again, this is where it's so fascinating that everybody is waking up to this. But a lot of people have not yet. And so if you follow somebody and they have a pretty face, if they are living in a beautiful home, you're a lot more willing and just accepting of what they're telling you and what they're selling you, which I think it's so important that people are waking up to this. But brands are catching on too, which is fascinating because before it was a gold mine. If a brand could work with a social media person that had a high following, it was an amazing cash to ad conversion. It used to work so well, and that's why influencers started getting so many brands, because everybody caught on to it so fast. But now a lot of people are experiencing ad fatigue. People are specifically going out of their way to not use affiliate links that influencers are pushing, and they're immediately swiping up if they see that it's a paid sponsorship post, and it's just not working anymore, and brands are catching on to that. And so there's a lot of new techniques that like people are going to have to start doing and figuring out, but for now, this is what it is. The other thing to be said is about the changeability across all of the platforms. And that's what social media is. Like, none of this is sustainable. None of this is long-term. Everything about this is change. Look at Instagram. They used to be nothing but a photo app. TikTok, it came out of nowhere and was a dancing app that everybody was cringed out about. Look at YouTube. They are nothing but a long-form content platform, and now they're doing nothing but pushing shorts. But not only is it about the big changes that are happening across the platforms, it's also about the little micro trends and the micro fashions that are just ripping through like wildfires. One week to the next is something totally different. And to try to be an influencer, you have to be so on top of it. You have to be so aware. Anyways, yeah, I'm saying goodbye now. I'm at the very end. Okay, my timer has ended, but these are all my thoughts. This is, yeah, it's a lot, and I feel like there's a lot more that I still haven't untangled, but it's a fascinating topic. Let me know what opinions you have, what thoughts you have. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!